Pain. Just pure, inconsolable, inconceivable pain. Today on Locked On Cyclones.
You are Locked On Cyclones, your daily podcast on the Iowa State Cyclones, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Cyclones, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And for those of you here today, I commend you because honestly, to come in and record this episode was a tall task to ask even of myself as a diehard ISU fan. Be sure to subscribe so we can prove once and for all that is in fact a Cyclone state still, even though we are in the boat that we are currently in. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you will get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Let's get started with the show. First things first, to the victor go the spoils, and that's where we'll start today's episode. Arizona State was very, very good today, and let's break down just exactly how. The key component that Arizona State had was, in fact, a key component in today's game. Something that everybody that was looking forward to this game, everybody looking into who would win this game and how mentioned. If you did not say this guy's name, you were definitely missing a key point. And I will say, I got a lot of mentions. You can find my Twitter right down here at Nick Marv. This week, I may have potentially mispronounced this guy's name, and I can tell you, everyone said, hey, you'll learn this guy's name by the end of Saturday. I know his name, Cam Skattebo. Honestly, at this point, deserves the Heisman. At halftime, Mr. Skattebo had 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't know of many people who can achieve 140 yards and 2 touchdowns in a game, let alone in a half. And granted, the Cyclones' run defense was a main concern going into this game. But, man, he sure did exploit it. Obviously, right now we're dealing with Arizona State and what went right for them. Cam Skattebo is 1A. And in my opinion, number 2 or 1B, he almost deserves to be in that one category, was Sam Leavitt. The ability of Sam to navigate the pocket and create something out of nothing, especially on pass plays where the secondary seemed to be doing their job for Iowa State, was something that cannot be overlooked. Obviously, everyone's going to look to to Cam Skattebo, but Sam Leavitt's ability to extend plays and extend drives on 3rd down and 4th down, like we have talked about up until this point in the week, was something that you just simply cannot ignore. Obviously, 4th down of the game, Arizona State decides they're going to go for it, and Sam just drops a dime to get it down to I think it was like the 7-yard line. It was like a 62-yard gain for Arizona State, and I'm not going to say that's where the wheels fell off because I'd give Iowa State a few more minutes, but the decisions that were made by Sam Leavitt and the accuracy of his throws proved to be quite pivotal in this game. There were also some wide receivers who stepped up for Arizona State, namely, in my opinion, Guillory. Xavier Guillory had 2 receptions. Okay, you're probably thinking, well, that's not even that many receptions. Iowa State probably locked him down then, huh? Well, unfortunately, you would be incorrect. 2 receptions for 2 touchdowns. Did not love that as an Iowa State fan. That's a total of 29 yards, 14.5 yards on average, but in general, the passing game did not seem to be somewhere where Iowa State excelled. That secondary that we've talked about all week, 3rd in the nation in passing yards allowed, simply did not show up. It's really that simple. I don't think the defense in general showed up for Iowa State today, but I'm not going to completely put it all on them because Iowa State's offense didn't show up either, and we'll talk about that in the second segment. Don't go anywhere for that. But, I mean, Stovall, McLean, Skattebo. I'm not going to mispronounce this guy's name ever again, even when he moves on to the NFL and proves to be an NFL top-tier running back. They all showed up out of the backfield, and Skattebo had 2 rushing touchdowns at the half. As we said, 140 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, and then goes on to get a receiving touchdown in the second half. So really everything seemed to be very well-rounded for Arizona State. As much as I thought missing Tyson would be a big deal, it was not. really, obviously, Scatterbo on the ground got things started, but the wide receivers kept things going. And then obviously Sam Levitt putting the ball where it needed to be was a big deal, but his run game as well, extending plays, extending drives, third and fourth downs was something we looked at all week, and he definitely capitalized on that. Overall, I would look at potentially Kenny Gillingham and the way he coached this game. He came out everything firing. Everything he could bring to the fight, he did. This was the Big 12 championship game. After all, win and get into the college football playoff, and I think he approached it in that way. All week I said, Matt Campbell might have the coaching to beat Kenny Gillingham in this game. If it comes down to coaches, I would take Matt Campbell 7 days a week, twice on Sundays. I was incorrect. That will be covered in the second segment as well. But Kenny Gillingham understood the weight of this game and just what it took for Arizona State to come out on top, and they did not miss an opportunity. Fourth down, fourth and less than a yard. What would you think would happen, right? This is a Seahawks-Patriots scenario in which you're thinking, oh, they're obviously going to run it with Marshawn Lynch. Oh, they're obviously going to run it with Cam Scatterbo. No. Arizona State actually pulled off the pass in a way that made sense instead of the interception on the goal line by Malcolm Butler. No, they throw the 62-yard massive gain for Arizona State. That is a ballsy call. That is something that you would only do in Madden. And yet it is done in the Big 12 championship game, one of the biggest of stages. The only one bigger would be the national title game, especially in a win and get in game. This game was no cakewalk for, it was a cakewalk for Arizona State, but it was not like a throwaway game, if you will, for Arizona State or Iowa State. This was not an SEC championship or a Big Ten championship where the winner gets in, obviously, but the loser still has a way to fees their way into the playoff. No, it was a win and get in situation, and Kenny Gillingham definitely understood that, definitely knew that they had to do everything in their will, in their power to make it into the college football playoff, and I commend him for that. I commend Cam Scatterbo for everything he was able to get done on the ground, and I will definitely get into the defense here as we break into this second segment, but also those wide receivers. I'm looking at the receptions here. The leading receiver, I suppose, for Arizona State. I'd almost like you to guess how many receptions they had. If you guessed anything over 5, you'd be incorrect. They had 4 receptions. Maquan Stovall, I don't know how to say the first name, but I know Stovall. It's ingrained in my brain at this point. Had 4 receptions for 91 yards. Okay, when you look at any game in the past, you can pull up any box score. Jordan Tyson ran away with target share for the Arizona State Sun Devils all year. He'd have 12. Next guy would have 3 or 4. He'd have 8. Next guy would have 1 or 2. And I said all week, the fact that he has a majority, and if not more than that, of the target share is a major problem for Arizona State going into this game. It proved to be I was completely incorrect. Apparently, they can get away with 4 receptions, 1 reception, 2, 2, 2, and 1 for every receiving player on Arizona State's team and still get the job done. Every one of their players did exactly what they had to do, knew how to capitalize on the situations that they were given, and Iowa State did not know how to do the same. They certainly gave up a lot on defense, and that's exactly where I'm going next because I do think defense was a bigger mistake for Iowa State in this game than their offense, but we'll touch on all of that going into this second segment. Don't go anywhere. I will be right back after this. I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl into a bed of hot coals just to make a few bucks. It has to be easy, no hoops, no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it. And turns out it was really that easy to get wireless for $15 a month. The longest part of the process was the time I spent on hold waiting to break up with my old provider. To get started, go to mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. There you'll see that right now a 3-month plan is only $15 a month, including the all unlimited plan. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your own phone number as well, along with your existing contacts. Find out how easy it is to switch to Mint Mobile and get 3 months premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. That's mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. $45 up front required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower than 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. All right, let's go ahead and break down the Iowa State Cyclones and the mistakes that they made going into the Big 12 championship game and everything that came of it. Honestly, this was very depressing. This game was hard to watch. Really, from the second quarter on, the way that this started, I had extremely high hopes for the Cyclones. The Cyclones give up a pretty decent first play by Scadaboo, but I saw that and I thought, okay, maybe there's a chance we're just a little bit slow. Maybe we got down a little bit late yesterday. Maybe we just have a little bit of rust almost, which it's only been a week, but the lights are bright, okay? It's going to be a tough environment to play in. I will give them the first play of the game. They hold Arizona State to a field goal on their first drive. We talked all week about the kicking game for Arizona State, so I had high hopes for that play, but no, it went in, and kudos to Arizona State for that. But, going into the second drive for Iowa State, that's where things got a little bit dicey. The first drive obviously comes away with a touchdown by Carson Hansen out of the backfield, and that was awesome. I was sitting right there on the goal line in the student section. That place was bumping, okay? Obviously, the stadium was not completely filled, but it's a long travel for both teams, so I'm not exactly surprised by that. But every Iowa State fan there could not have been more juiced after Carson Hansen's quick little receiving touchdown to go up 7-3. Then Iowa State gives up the touchdown, and on their second drive is where I get a little bit concerned. We only come away with a field goal. That's kind of where I almost point to for the wheels falling off, but let's not get too crazy here. I think the bigger issue I have with today's game was on the defensive side of things. We gave up way too many chunk plays. If you've been watching the show the last week, and if you watch, anything else that I might host, I will always be someone who says there's going to be 1 to 2 chunk plays either per team or per game that are expected. That's going to happen. That's going to swing the game one way or another. Some games are won and lost by one play, and you never know when that play will happen, but it's expected that it will. Maybe it's a block punt or maybe it's an interception, but something will swing the tides, and I always expect at least 1 chunk play per game. It seemed like Iowa State was just giving those out, right? You go to the Iowa State Fair, and it's like, oh, hey, here's a free pen. Here's a free little fan because it's so hot out. Here's a free little voucher for some cookies. No. Iowa State today was like, hey, Arizona State, you want a 55-yard gain? You want a 62-yard gain? You want a 38-yard gain? Here you go. These are for you. Take them, enjoy them, have a fun day with it. We're here to make everyone feel good. I don't understand exactly how that happened, but one thing we can certainly point to was missed tackles. You pick any one of those massive gains, and if you were to tell me that they didn't get touched to the 35, 40-yard past this line of scrimmage like Mark, I would not be surprised because I was like, well, how else would they get that far, right? You break someone open, coverage gets busted. It's the first guy that gets to him, but yeah, he did make a 42-yard gain. Okay, that is what it is. In most cases today, it was Arizona State running a traditional power or pitch or quick slant or screen even, and all of a sudden, there's the first Iowa State guy, second Iowa State guy, third Iowa State guy, fourth, bang, bang, bang. Everyone just seems to be bouncing off of players. And this is where I will say I should have mentioned in the first segment, I am now equivalating Cam Scadaboo to a gosh darn garbage truck. Let me ask you this. You're probably asking, what does that even make sense? Because he's really good. I wouldn't say garbage truck. Can you tackle a garbage truck? I would say probably not. I know I can't, that's for sure. Nobody seemed to be able to stop Cam Scadaboo when he was running the ball. He was just running through dudes, and it looked easy. That was my biggest takeaway here, was that Cam Scadaboo might as well be a 400-ton log of tree just rolling down a hill with tiny little minifigures on the hill trying to stop him. I mean, it was unreal, the amount of people he ran through and the amount of contact he went. I mean, he went through contact, and the amount of yards he had after contact. I don't have that in front of me, but it was like, how can you not make that tackle? We have guys flying to the ball. That part I do like. I liked how fast Iowa State seemed to feel, especially early in the game. But it didn't matter because Cam Skattebo didn't even have to extend an arm. He just like was a pillar of like, if you touch me, you're flying 10 yards away, almost like some sort of ancient relic that I've never seen before. It was unreal to witness. And I'll say this, obviously all the mistakes that Iowa State made were highlighted in the second half. Okay. But in the first half, we seemed to be firing right away. We seemed to be firing on all cylinders, and that was really cool to see. I thought it was going to be tight early, but Iowa State comes out the second half, turnover. You cannot win games when you're -3 in the turnover differential. What did I say all week? There was going to be things that were going to make a difference. Special teams, turnover differential, and things such as field position, and just other miscellaneous factors, stopping Cam Skattebo, chunk plays, whatever. But turnover was huge because going into the second half, it may have been a 2-possession game. I don't know why Matt Campbell didn't call timeout with 2 seconds left and throw a Hail Mary. I don't know if I love that call, but I also don't hate it because if you give up an interception there, Arizona State has a chance to score again and make it a 3-possession game before the half. It's a conservative call, but it's not a hated call per se. But then to start the second half with, I think it was fumble, interception, fumble, and all 3 of those went for touchdowns. You find yourself all of a sudden down 5 scores. Inexcusable, unacceptable. That is simply bad football. I mean, I could not believe my eyes when I saw the 3rd turnover. At some point, you have to get momentum going, and I believe that the first fumble came right after a massive Rocco scramble. I tweeted out, at Nick Marv down here, Rocco found his legs. Attention, ladies and gentlemen, Rocco found his legs. Look out. It's going to be a different second half. Nope, we fumble. Touchdown. Nope, we throw an interception. Touchdown. Nope, we fumble. Touchdown. And at that point, who even really is caring at that? Like, it's a different game when you're down 5 scores. I'm accidentally spitting because I'm so fired up about how that second half went. Going into the half, I really thought Iowa State might have a chance, but I was severely incorrect. So turnovers were definitely our biggest mistake. Broken tackles were a major issue for Iowa State today. But what does that mean going forward? This was not our last game of the season. Thankfully, I can't wait to see this team play again. But what does this mean going forward? Where do we go from here as Iowa State fans? Coming up right after this on Locked On Cyclones, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Get ready to tackle the NFL as games heat up here late in the season, as well as the college football and basketball landscape on FanDuel.com, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Right now I'm looking at Iowa State basketball after this treacherous loss to Arizona State. All of the hope I had in Iowa State football seems to be gone. But it will come back. Don't worry. That's why I'm the host of Locked On Cyclones. Iowa State playing Jackson State tomorrow. Currently 36.5-point favorites. Hammer it! Give me Iowa State minus 36.5 on FanDuel.com. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, guys. Where do we go from here? What happens now that Iowa State has lost the Big 12 championship, probably missed out on the college football playoff as well? Realistically, it's going to be tough. It is going to be hard. As Iowa State fans maybe look towards basketball, things are heating up there. We just beat Marquette this week. That's exciting. The other side of things would be obviously bowl game. Currently, we're being projected to be in the Pop-Tart Bowl. Getting to choose between one of the 3 Pop-Tarts to get to eat down on the field is always exciting, but is that really what we wanted? I guess it's what we have at this current point in time. So beggars can't be choosers. We got to rock with what we got. And Yeah, no, that is just the situation we found ourselves in. But the better question would be, what about like next year, right? What about Matt Campbell as a coach? Let's start with Matt Campbell. I think, I was asked today, if you were the GM or the command the what do they call that guy, the commanding officer of Iowa State football, what would you have done with Matt Campbell? And I think Matt Campbell's good for the next 5 to 10 years. I think Matt Campbell will have a statue in Ames, Iowa at Jack Trice Stadium. He has turned this program around. We've had up and down years for sure, but I don't think that this is a situation in which we move on from Matt Campbell because he has done so much for us. I love the way he coaches this program. If you follow me on Instagram, I have been posting all day, all of everything that's been posted by Cyclone Football. And one of my favorite quotes that came out before the game came from Matt Campbell. It said, "If the light within you shines brighter than the light on you, great things are to happen." Now that's paraphrasing because I'm pretty sure that's not the exact word for word, but I only missed a few thes in there. And his messaging to this team, the way he coaches all of these guys to become one unit and attack the opponent with to borrow from another head coach, an enthusiasm unknown to mankind, is unparalleled. And his ability to get them to band together and to fight as a team is what makes Iowa State football so great. Had we won this game, I would have come in here saying that Iowa State football is different than every other program in the country because of the way that they attack teams as a unit. There is no one player that is more significant than another. You even look from offensive lineman to quarterback to defensive back to safety to punt returner to gunner. You can point to any of them. It's a straight line right across. They're all the same in Matt Campbell's and is an Iowa State Cyclone. In that mindset, everyone's the same. And I love that. That's what makes Iowa State football great. We fight on the field. Everyone is fighting for each other. That being said, I don't think the seat is hot for Matt Campbell, but he's been there twice in 5 years, and there will be, an evaluation point at some point. How many Big 12 championships do you lose before things get weird? Okay. And I'm not calling for Matt Campbell's job. I want Matt Campbell to be the head coach until he says, "I'm done with Cyclones. I don't want to be in names anymore," which I honestly don't even know if that will ever happen. I love Matt Campbell and what he's done for the program. I want to make that very, very clear. But I also do wonder, let's say in 10 years, Iowa State goes to the Big 12 championship, every single year. Then what happens if we don't win a single one? I'd be curious. But that's not where we're at right now. Right now, we need to worry about the next game in front of us. Big 12 championship loss leads to then a bowl game. We will not be in the college football playoff if everything plays out how it's supposed to. The committee's done crazier things, but they did not like Iowa State much this year. And so realistically, I don't expect us to be playing, next week. Getting ready for that Pop-Tart Bowl, the biggest changes I think that need to be made is tackling. And I don't know how much of that is Arizona State being untackleable or Iowa State being incapable of making a tackle. That's something we have to address. Secondly, I think the inability to make defensive scheme adjustments is a major point of concern for this team. I don't know if we ever went into a four-man front. I don't know if we have a four-man front in the playbook, to be honest. And the way that Camp Scotabo was running all over us was very, very concerning. So the fact that the team never adjusted to that, it really in any way was not a great sign. Secondary probably needs to be looked at as well. A lot of broken tackles there, but also a lot of chunk plays, that 20 to 30-yard mark, way too many of those plays as well. And obviously the turnover game. You can point to any major mistake we made in this game. They were directly correlated with losing the game. Sometimes you make a mistake and it's not that big a deal. If you throw an interception and you hold them to 3, okay, you're down 3 points and potentially a possession. It's not the end of the world. You hold them to maybe a turnover on downs or a missed field goal, whatever the case might be. If it's deep in their territory, you hold them to a punt. That's not the end of the world, right? That's going to happen in football at times. Iowa State's inability to stop after making a mistake makes every single mistake they made in this game, stop the bleeding after making a mistake, makes every mistake in this game so much more noticeable. And I think those are major, major concerns that need to be addressed moving forward. Overall, I think as fans, basketball is going to be very exciting. And you could always look on Monday. We will talk about all the commitments we got this week from high school. A lot of great players coming into the program. And if I guess I'll say if, because I haven't heard any official word on Matt Campbell staying, but I would be I'd do a show without any socks on because they'd be blown off if Matt Campbell left the program after this year. That would be simply unfathomable. But he will be able to, if he's there, to develop those players into the next generation of great Iowa State football players. And honestly, going into next year, we make a few tune-ups, and I wouldn't be surprised if we find ourselves back in the same spot. I think there's a lot of the base foundation is solid. That's where you want the solidity to be. You don't want to have the flowers be solid. You want the roots of the program to be solid. And I like the way that this program is built. I like the way that this program conducts itself, the way that it's coached, the way that the fans, you show up for these games in Ames at Jack Trice. It's phenomenal. And we've built this to be in my opinion, a real, very serious football program in America at this point. Granted, the blowout loss to Arizona is not amazing. I think even if we were to lose this game, I would have liked to have seen a bit of a better showing of Iowa State football since it was on a national stage and everybody was looking towards Arizona State in their first year in the Big 12. Can Iowa State stop the first-year team from winning it? Didn't love the way we were represented, but overall, I like where the team is at, like where the coaching is at, and I don't have any major concerns moving forward other than we just need to develop the young guys, the guys that are going to stick around. We do have a pretty solid core that's going to be staying. We utilize them and their best strengths moving forward. I think Iowa State is here to stay for the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 100, 100,000 years. I can't wait to cover it all, but I will say it is kind of tough to move past this loss. This one hurt. I really thought Iowa State was going to be okay. If you saw the Locked On crossover with Richie Bradshaw of Locked On Sun Devils, I gave an 8.1 confidence level. I really thought Iowa State was going to be – I thought they were going to be solid. And they were in no way, shape, or form solid, unfortunately, after about 13 to 17 minutes into this game, which is sometimes how they go. You know, sometimes you just don't bring your A game. And I don't know if I guess that's what happened today, but it looked that way for sure. Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Cyclones, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen or watch here on YouTube to prove it is, in fact, a Cyclone State. And shout out to you everydayers. I see you guys' comments. I leave reply, if applicable, in every situation that I can. So shout out to you guys. Until next time, sayonara, Cyclones.